I saw this recently on BBC's London and national news, and it is of course tragic for any young life to be cut short from a cardiac arrest. As you can see from this image, 12 lives aged 35 and under die each week from this. Curious as I was, I did a brief search of deaths from cardiac arrests over the last 5 years and saw this from the Office of National Statistics, though it only shows stats to 2022 and partial ones for that year. Not being a statistician, I'm sure there's something I'm failing to understand, because the figures seem very low in that report, and 12 deaths each week in the under 35's does not correlate to the figures given. I don't see a total approximating 600 for any year. I apologise for the poor quality of this, but I'm pointing my camcorder at the TV recording I made.
Smith, one of a dozen portraits around the country to highlight the 12 people aged under 35 who die every week in the UK due to sudden cardiac death. Coinciding with the Euros tournament, the paintings are of young footballers or fans who died too soon. A British Heart Foundation survey has found a lack of public understanding around heart disease affecting young people.
So when you hear about a young person, fit and well, collapsing and dying suddenly, and we often hear about it in the context of an athlete who collapses in front of a crowd or a television, most of the time that's a genetic disorder.
Scientists are working on pioneering gene therapy to try to find a way to prevent the deaths. In the meantime, the murals are to aid awareness and are also a comforting vision to loved ones left behind.
Just to have Libby's picture on the wall, it just brings so much joy and happiness, because we know her memory is still there. She's always going to be there for us, and we're always going to be there for her.
Lakshmi Gopal, BBC London.
Obviously, if there is a way to prevent such tragic early deaths, that is to be welcomed, though some, or perhaps many people, will be suspicious of any therapy which uses mRNA technology. But if you have a faulty gene which makes you susceptible to a cardiac arrest, you would consider anything if it helps prevent an early demise. We know there have been thousands of excess deaths in the last few years, and there hasn't been any in-depth investigation into these, as far as I know, which leads me to an obvious question regarding these younger lives being cut short. How many of those 600 lives each year took the inoculation which didn't prevent transfer of a particular virus and wasn't necessary for any relatively fit and healthy younger person, nor any relatively fit and healthy older person? Would it be prying to ask the families of those who lost their loved ones whether their late son or daughter had received that heavily pushed prick of poison?